the last thing we're going to talk about real quick is a movie, speaking of exposure, and a movie that's not getting any exposure. I've seen it, and I loved it. And it was She Said. This movie is just... It's one of those movies that just doesn't... It isn't getting talked about enough. On social media, on Twitter, it's blowing up. I mean, Carey Mulligan's performance is top-notch. I mean, probably not going to get any nominations, but it's a good, solid film. It's a little... I put out a tweet after seeing it, and I said this. Imagine a female-led cast like All the President's Men with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. It's not as good as Spotlight, but it's right in that... I would put it in between Spotlight and The Post. Mm-hmm. It's really, really good. And this movie, it was made for $32 million, and it only made $2.2 million opening weekend. And it's only grossed $6.7 million. And it only made $1 million last weekend. So, my question to both of you, Kyle, you can go first on this. Why do you think it is? And what can we do about movies like this in the future? Go ahead, Kyle.
I think it's the marketing. That is one of the main reasons why this movie didn't get that much talk, because I know a number of people didn't even know this movie was coming out when it was out, and it's a film that I think the title alone is kind of, I guess the movie, given what it's about, it is a good title, but it doesn't really entice viewers like a movie called She Said It. It almost sounds like it's a movie about high school gossip. It doesn't have that catch where even like a Glass Onion, it's a sequel, but it's still like that, I think, grabs audiences more. But I wonder what Eliza thinks about this, because...
Okay, it's Lisa.
Oh, Lisa, and, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
I'm gonna correct you every time. Just be prepared. It's not I don't take offense, but no. Okay, so I feel like, listen, part of me wants to be like, oh, it was underhyped. Like, it was. I didn't know it was coming at all, and I feel like with this kind of a story, I haven't seen it. I feel like I need to see it so I can be like, yeah, it's just as good as you guys are saying it is, But like Spotlight was up for an Oscar,
it won Best Picture.
Yeah, and it got the hype, but not too much beforehand. But it is also again, a big deal, and so is this. And I'd love to cry oh, it's because it's a women specific story, but I don't know if that's the case. I feel like it comes down to whoever was in charge of press and getting it out there. I don't think the title has that much to do with it, to be honest, but I just think that it wasn't pushed enough at all. And I'm wondering why.
Well, and that's the $64,000 question. So according to the Wrap, okay, they basically said that the cast had made this for all of the victims of Harvey Weinstein and what they went through. I think it's a couple of things. Okay. One of them is you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. So what I mean by that is if an actor or especially an actress comes out and supports it, that their career in Hollywood may be diminished or lessened. Maybe they don't get a role that they were going for because they supported this film. And look, Miramax is, whatever. That's number one. Number two, I would agree with both of you that there was zero press about this. I would love to know, of a $32 million budget, how much was that spent on marketing? Not a lot. Number three, the cast. I like Carey Mulligan, but let's face it, she's not a huge seat, put butts in the seat type of actress.
Yeah.
Like an Angelina Jolie, like a Sandra Bullock, like a Julia Roberts.
Even look at
so that's something.
Do you remember Bombshell came out a couple of years ago?
Yes, which I saw too, which was fabulous.
Yeah, similar type of situation in that film, but
Yeah.
what it is you have Margot Robbie, Nicole Kidman,
Right.
Charlize Theron, and that's the
Right.
big difference.
And
The-
I think the last
I
thing,
agree with you that they should have could have gotten an A-lister, especially in the subject matter. I'm surprised that they didn't, but Carey Mulligan is, in my opinion, a great actress. She's just not, you're right, like that caliber.
yeah. And I think the last thing is, when you look at the films out right now, okay, there's so much, and I said this the other day to somebody, there is so much oversaturation with the market that, because if you remember, we went through a period from August to October that there was nothing. I mean, it was dry. The river was just dry,
Yeah.
barren. We had Prey, which was amazing on Hulu, and we had we had Hellraiser, which was good. That's it. Ever since, now you can go. You've got Wakanda Forever, which is taking up 75% of the theaters. You've got Bones and All. You've got, Ticket to Paradise, if it's still playing, with George Clooney and Sandra Bullock.
Mm-hmm.
You've got This, She Said. You've got all these films that are coming out. And I think because of that, I think that what ends up happening is that it gets put down to the end, put down to the bottom. I had Ryan McQuaid on a couple of months ago, and he said this. We were talking about summer blockbusters and the preview. And he said that because there's a Marvel movie in you can go to a movie theater now for the past 10 years, and there's always going to be a Marvel movie, right?
Yeah.
Because they come out with 3 movies a year.
Mm-hmm.
But the great movies, like a She Said, like a Bones and All, like all these films, they get pushed down to the bottom. And this is where, oversaturation is a serious, serious problem. Because if you didn't have, and I think the last thing is this, what you guys were talking about, is scheduling.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any good month in the year. I mean, maybe they could have pushed this to January, February, but highly unlikely. And how much would have been made if they did?
But David, I do disagree with the whole Marvel criticism people have, because I think that the big thing is your movie interesting to an audience? And in the case of She Said, I think there were a lot of people that just didn't feel like they wanted to go out and see this film. Personally, myself, I remember it came out the same weekend as The Menu, and I decided to see The Menu.
The Menu is another film I didn't even name. Go ahead, finish.
David, you did a double feature. You saw The Menu and She Said. But I just said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to go see The Menu and have fun there. And it's because also The Menu is a movie that really looked like something I'd never seen before. I think that's another thing that's going on in movie theaters right now. A lot of people want to see movies that they haven't seen before, whether it's a Get Out, whether it is a, Menu. I mean, even Top Gun Maverick, yes, it's, a sequel, but it's a movie that is about, aircraft and that type of stuff, we haven't really seen as much either. And I think with Avatar coming out, a lot of people are going to be like, ooh, Avatar is something that we haven't quite seen. Like, how many movies have we seen about, reporters and journalism? And, it just, and I mean, yes, like the Marvel type of factors, also we have different Marvel. But the thing with Marvel is their movies, despite contrary to popular belief, their movies are different. You have a Wakanda Forever.
Oh, no, absolutely. Phase 4 has been one of the only things, and this is probably ever since the end of the Infinity Saga,
yeah.
Phase 4 has been one of them, and I would call them individualized episodes, okay? But when you talk about what they have done, you've had the Eternals, you had Spider-Man No Way Home, okay, fine, but you had Shang-Chi, you had a couple of other films that have been totally different. And I think that's what, everybody's go for it.
Okay. So another thing that I've noticed that happens for these kinds of films is that it's actually too soon. And I feel like this is too soon. And there are already like documentaries and like stories and things that you can watch on it, it was pretty fresh. And I just feel like, you know, you have to wait like a chunk of time, like Spotlight, in the post, in order to be able to, like, everybody almost not necessarily forget, but like kind of forget. And then you're reminding them, and then everybody's like, oh my God, that was terrible. And like, then you have that whole
And
thing.
you know,
And I feel like, wait, not yet. And then, so I feel like, for instance, I mean, like, eventually one day there's going to be a 9/11 movie. Like, there's going to be a.
Oh, there already have been.
No, but those were too soon. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
There's going to be a huge, like, A-lister, like, Oscar-nominated 9/11 movie. It's too soon still right now, in my opinion, for timing.
So then, question. We're 21 years out.
Yeah.
How long do you think you have to give it then to, quote, breathe?
I don't know, but I legitimately feel like this movie we're talking about, she said it was poor timing because it wasn't right after it happened, and it's not long enough into the future to where we need to remind everybody that it happened and do that whole thing.
I would say this, that because Ashley Judd agreed to go on camera for this, even if she had a small portion to do with it. I think, to your point, there is no right time. You could give this 40 years.
No,
okay? But here's the thing. Even though we've had films, and look, Flight 93 was one of the toughest watches I've ever had in my life.
That one was on time. That's different, though. That's
World Trade Center, one of the toughest watches I've ever had in my life. I think that
it's too soon.
When you have a picture that talks about a tragedy, okay? And the other thing, too, is when you take a look...
When I say too soon, I don't mean because of, like, trauma. That's not what I'm saying. I think there's just something in the psyche with people where I don't think that Flight 93 was different. It was just one plane. It was its own thing. But I'm talking about, like, talk about Schindler's List. It's going to be a difficult watch no matter what. I'm not saying that it won't be as long as we wait long enough. I'm just saying that the amount of time it took between when the Holocaust happened and when he made it, it was good timing, in my opinion. It wasn't like too soon or too late.
I think what Elise is trying to say is that you kind of want to have like all of the facts in place, almost as a way of making sure that when you tell your story, it is done with like a lot more research and time where like you can look at, you know, more evidence and stuff. I do see that. I will say though, I think it's still, I mean, believe it or not, like a lot of this stuff happened. The hashtag Me Too movement has been around for a long time, but like the big Weinstein revelations happened. It happened like 5 years ago. So
that's so soon.
It's still, to me, especially if they get the right people to do it. I do think though, personally, I don't think it's too soon. I think it's at a point now where they can tell that story. However, I will say, you were talking about trauma. I do think that's another thing that plays a part in this because people want to go to the movies to escape. And when they watch a movie that deals with a heavy type of subject matter like this, I think that kind of makes people more hesitant to go to the movies.
For sure.
That. And that,
I feel like your perspective of what you think I'm saying, this is the hardest part. Both of you are wrong, but I can't explain why I feel like this and why I'm like this was too soon, because I almost would guarantee you there's going to be another Weinstein movie and it's going to be far, far down the line and it's going to be a good one. Like it's going to be bigger.
Do you think...
I don't know why I know this. I just do.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's too soon. I don't know why.
Do you think that, let me ask this then. Do you think the further we get down the road, because it is, I would agree with you, it's been in the last 5 years and it still is fresh and everything else.
And also,
do you think it would be harder to make? Huh?
And go ahead.
Do you think it'd be harder to make? Because you got to understand, trying to get financing for this type of thing, I mean, this is why Spotlight,
No, with the
or
right
not
talent.
Spotlight, Searchlight,
Yeah, I don't think so, David. Yeah,
really.
no, I
With
mean,
the right talent, like the
story.
right talent, it's a story that broke like
yeah,
all over the place. I mean, every documentary on it has been watched a million times.
Yeah.
People are interested in like this kind of a mess, and also it can be touted as something that needs to be said and needs to be like watched, and like the whole moral side of that. But
Yeah.
no, I don't think they'll have any problem.
Okay, good. I mean, I love the movie. I think that it's just not getting enough.
It's not a good movie, but I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like
well,
it could be. That's
no,
why
yeah.
it do well.
I think that this movie, just for the reasons I put out there, I think it's just not getting enough press. This is one of the best underrated films of 2022. It really is. And unfortunately, look, I don't think it was ever going to make Wakanda Forever money. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I wish it was, for what it was, I wish more people would go see it. I really do, because it's one of those good, feel good's not the right word, but you like, even though you know how it ends, okay, you still want to see the process.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so I think that's something else. And I'll be honest with you, this should be shown. Those three films that I was named, Spotlight, The Post, and this, should be shown in every journalism course across this country, because that's how journalism should be done. We've gotten to a point, and I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but we've gotten to a point where everybody wants to break that news first, whatever it is. And it's that 2 or 3 times out of 10 that they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, good night and good luck's another example.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that's me on that. So this has been really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad to get back to this and everything else. So coming up, we are going, Kyle and I, probably tomorrow, are going to be starting our Perfect Movie series. We're going to be doing Captain America Winter Soldier. And so what this is, guys, is I've taken 10 movies like Heat, Captain America Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Spotlight, Skyfall, whatever, and we're going to go through and dissect them. Not blow by blow, because we're not going to do it that long, but in something like Heat, it might be 2 videos, one for the story itself and one for the technical side of things behind the camera, like the training the actors had to go through, like how Michael Mann used Los Angeles as a setting, like the music. So, but we've got all that coming up. You guys, the roundup's going to be coming out every single week. We have our brand new co-host back, so that's good to see. And we're going to actually be continuing. We just did one the other day. I just saw Avatar the other night, which is 13 years in the making, or afterwards. So I'm going to be putting that out there, hopefully in the coming days. 3 or 4 days, and that we're gonna be doing, and you could jump in on this as well. Have you thought of a movie, Kyle, that you want to go see that you haven't?
Oh no, I haven't thought about that.
Okay, so you're gonna have to, and then she can pick one, and then we're gonna rotate. And these are gonna be movies that we haven't seen, but it's on that I need to see list. So
like everyone else has seen it, and I've just sort of been like,
exactly,
just didn't see it.
Exactly. So stay tuned, guys. We've got a huge 2023 coming up. I don't know. You guys have any last closing thoughts?
Nope. It's been fun.
Okie dokie.
Great.
So that's Elisa. That's Kyle. And I'm David. This has been Real Talks. Thanks, guys.